right now.
Across America, live, this is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Thank you for joining me. It is the second day of our Truth Team 360 week. We are very excited. Lots of things to talk about. Brad Fisk, as you may know, in studio with us today. A little bit later, we're going to be talking about Michael Farris and some of the things on the judiciary. And then Tim Wildmon has been in the news quite a bit because of the boycott of Target. So we're going to be hearing from him. So we have lots to cover. But again, this is a time, Brad, when we come to our listeners and certainly continue talking about some of the issues in the news, but also take a little bit of time away so that we can talk about how they can support this ministry so we can keep bringing these programs to them every single day.
Some people may not know that we are listener-supported, Kerby. I'll break that down for you to make it simple. Listener, that's you. Supported, that's you giving us a call at 800-347-5151 and giving us your pledge of financial support.
And again, we encourage you to do so because we're trying to bring you a biblical point of view on so many different issues, especially during this election season. I might mention today we'll be watching what is happening in the Northeast. We'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. Reasonably assuming that Donald Trump's going to win all of those, but we will always, of course, cover some of that tomorrow when we know more. And it will be interesting to see how Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders do in that particular Democratic race. So we'll cover much of that, but not only during the election, but all the time. There are so many important issues that we need to address. And Brad, sometimes at the end of the week, we say there are so many topics we did not cover.
That's right.
But we've done our best to really try to bring you truth. That's why I call it Truth Team, because we want you to be part of a team, and we don't want to allow non-truth to become the norm. And if you go to our website, pointofview.net, that's a place, of course, where you can also show your support, but you'll also find some resources there. And one of those, as we are saying this week, don't allow non-truth to become the norm. And we're living in a world right now where sometimes everything is seemingly on its head, and common sense has seemingly left the room.
It has. You know, we've been saying that for a long time in different contexts historically, for decades, really. Marlon Maddox was saying it in his day. But what's so interesting is this. I do not believe everything I've been looking at, everything I've been hearing from the pundits, I don't believe we've ever been in a time. This is unprecedented.
Yes.
The craziness, the upside downness, the people who are taking truth and just absolutely throwing it out the window. And I've just never remember a day like this. And so it's never been more important, my friend, to prayerfully consider standing with us financially. And we're going to make it as easy as we can for you. The central thing we're asking you to do, because, really, Kerby, this is something everybody can do. $1 a day.
$1 a day.
$1 a day, $30 a month, $360 for the year. That's why we call it Truth Team 360.
Yes.
And for everybody who joins the team this week, we have got what that's my opinion, is the coolest premium we've ever done, and that is a little Bible stick from Faith Comes by Hearing. It's an MP3 player. Okay, now guys, listen to this. You listen to the Word of God on here. The entire New Testament ESV version is packed on here. Music, sound effects, dramatized. So it's very easy to listen to. The headphones come with it in the box. The battery's ready to go. This thing is an amazing device that will help you get into the Word of God more. I bet you if I showed a raise of hands, how many people here need to spend more time in God's Word? My hand would be up,
of course,
and all of our hands would be up. We can always spend more time in God's Word. This is going to allow you to do it simply with your gift of $360 a year or more. You want to get your copy before these run out. So go ahead and get your Bible stick.
I might just mention, too, it's produced in Faith Comes by Hearing, and just one of the largest, the largest audio Bible ministry in the world.
That is correct.
And again, just very good music, sound effects, dozens of voices, all the rest. And so we're making that available to you as a thank you or welcome gift for your gift of $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 a year. But, some people have said, well, I could probably do a little bit more. And we've concluded, Brad, that if you sponsor like a minute a month, that really is about $65 in round numbers. And if you do that,
that's a fun way to look at
either receive that Bible stick, either that, or, of course, I'll hold this up again. We have the 16-ounce tumbler and journal set, and a lot of people said, oh, I'd love to have that, and so that is so beautiful, and it's a great opportunity for you to drink your coffee or tea as you're maybe even studying God's Word. And at the $100 level, you could have both of those.
That's right.
And so again, we are encouraging you to give what you feel that you can, what the Lord lays on your heart.
Yeah.
And again, one of the things I might point out, we said this once yesterday, but we need to say it more often. You don't have to have all the money in your hand right now.
No. It's a pledge of support for the future. And by the way, that's $100 a month or $65 a month or $30 a month.
Yes.
Those are the three monthly giving for one full year. And that's the way we do the math as we do this. So we're inviting you to join the Truth Team. Come aboard, won't you? And consider being part of what we're doing. You know what? Over 90% of our audience right now have never given financially to the ministry.
That is true.
Over 90% of you listening have never given. Man, what a great opportunity. The phones are wide open right now. So give us a call and get your pledge in right now early on. 800-347-5151. That's a toll-free number, 800-347-5151.
You know, one of the things mentioned yesterday, just in passing, is this idea of a network, too. And we certainly are networking with lots of individuals and giving you a chance to hear from them. But we also would love to hear from some of you that are listeners. And Leslie had some things to say about Point of View.
I think Kerby Anderson is a brilliant yet humble man, very gracious in his responses, which makes him the perfect host for the Point of View radio program. I think Point of View is very worthy Christian ministry, and that listeners should support this ministry. I'll encourage everyone to do so who can.
So again, just some comments from some of you, and a little bit later we might even open up the phones, especially with Tim Wildmon in that second hour. I got a few people are going to want to make some comments or ask some questions about this boycott of Target, and they have actually been on the lead on that. We talked about it last week, Brad, and so we're going to bring him to the studio today, actually by phone, and we also have posted an article about him that appeared that you would like to see out of USA Today. Of course, we have an article by Michael Farris who'll be with us in just a minute, but we really need to encourage some of you right now to come to the phones and give us a phone call, because you know what happens. You start listening to Michael Farris or Gary Bauer, as we had yesterday, or later on in the week we're going to have all sorts of notables, and then you say, well, I'll call later because I want to listen to the great interview. So this is a great time as we go to a break right now for us to hear from you. 1-800-347-5151, or for those of you that are in front of a computer, let me just suggest that you do that. This is just a great opportunity where you can still be listening to the program. You can just click on that button that says Join the Truth Team. The advantage, Brad, is that they can even see some of the welcome gifts, see what they might actually want to select, and they can put that welcome gift amount in there, and they can actually take care of it within
the whole
almost
thing
a minute.
Online in 2 to 3 minutes at pointofview.net.
So again, some great opportunities here. And again, you're supporting not only the 2-hour radio program, but all the other things that we do. A lot of it is behind the scenes. You, of course, will receive the Bible stick or the tumbler, or at $100, both. You also receive the Outlook magazine. We have all the videos. We sometimes do special mailings to you and other resources so that you can learn even when we're not on the air. So lots of things that you're supporting by calling 1-800-347-5151.
Let me just pause for a quick moment before we hit our break. I'm just asking you, I'm really, really asking those of you, especially that have been listening to the program for decades, won't you step over that line? Step over it right now. Trust in the Lord. Again, you don't have to have the money now. It's a faith pledge, and you're just saying, I want to stand with you financially. Again, that number, 800-347-5151. Have 5 of you calling right now. 800-347-5151.
We'll be back and talking with Michael Farris right after these important messages.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
I believe that corporations should stay out of the culture wars. Unfortunately, companies like Apple and PayPal just can't help themselves. In doing so, they leave themselves open to 3 different forms of hypocrisy and double standards. First, they focus on states in America but turn a blind eye to what is happening overseas. PayPal canceled its plan to build a global operations center in Charlotte, North Carolina. On the other hand, PayPal built a global operations center in Malaysia. The country's penal code punishes homosexual conduct with whippings and up to 20 years in prison. In previous commentaries, I've talked about how Disney and Apple ignore human rights injustices in other countries like China and Singapore while trying to punish states in the United States for standing up for traditional morality. And I should mention that New York Governor Cuomo issued a travel ban for state employees to North Carolina just as he returned from a trip to Cuba. There's a second hypocrisy. Ryan Anderson reminds us that while liberals denounce corporations trying to influence politics, they cheer the actions of Apple, PayPal, and Salesforce, willing to threaten legislators and governors with boycotts even as they pass popular laws that uphold moral and social values. Third, liberals applaud Bruce Springsteen for taking a moral stand. He and other entertainers have the right to follow their conscience, but liberals don't want to extend that same right to people with moral objections about same-sex marriage. Liberal politicians and bureaucrats want to punish bakers, florists, and photographers who try to follow their conscience. These individuals, as well as adoption agencies and marriage counselors, want the same liberty to follow their conscience. You know, corporate bullies would be wise to stay out of politics and the culture wars. They leave themselves open to charges of double standards and a lack of common sense. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
For more information about issues covered on Viewpoints, visit pointofview.net. Pointofview.net. Point of View, Truth Team 360, Alan West.
You know, when I think about the importance of Point of View Radio, it is so essential that we connect with the Christian conservative community on the issues and the topics of the day so that they can really get that information to educate and inform them to make better decisions. You know, I have two daughters, 22 and 18, and one of the things that concerns me is the impact that the culture will have upon them. And if we don't stand up as evangelical Christians, as Christian conservatives, and start to show the other points of view and start to talk about these issues that are critical out there for the building of character, the strengthening of the soul and the spirit against some of the very negative impacts of culture, then we will lose our young people. We will lose future generations. The important thing about Point of View ministry is that it arms you. It equips you to go out and do exactly as God commanded Joshua to do. To be strong and of good courage, for the Lord thy God shall never leave you nor forsake you.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Good friend Alan West, who's actually sat in this particular chair as a guest host, so it's certainly great to hear from him. Concerned Brad about his two daughters, and in light of some of the things we'll be talking about in the second hour today with Tim Wildmon, we should be concerned about what's happening in some of the bathrooms Very and things like that. Just before we talk with Michael Farris, where are we? Because we have certainly an opportunity for people to join with Truth Team 360.
Well, I'm excited because I got a special announcement to make. We have some friends of the ministry that said, you know what? We love what you do so much. We want to challenge other listeners, and we want to do that financially.
Very good.
$4,000 match challenge.
Yeah,
so
right.
thank you so much for your generosity. Now, we don't have that money. The only way we get it is for you to call, make your pledge. It goes against that $4,000, releases a portion of it into our total. So we don't get the money unless we get it all done.
So
give us a call. It's really important. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. A $4,000 dollar for dollar match. So that means if you give $360 for the year, it actually becomes $720.
That's right.
Isn't that cool?
That is. So again, $100 a month, $200 a month.
That's right.
Let's, if we can, get to our guest, Michael Farris. And of course, he is no stranger, especially to you, since you are a homeschool parent as well. Chancellor of the Patrick Henry Henry College, chairman of the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. One of the things I always like to mention about him is he was the co-chair of the Coalition for the Free Exercise of Religion, which led in large part to the the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, the RFRA laws, which we've talked about. And we have an article posted about him and by him in just a minute. But first of all, welcome to the program today, Michael Farris.
Hi, Kerby. Good to be with you.
And Brad Fisk is with us, and you actually raised your children and homeschooled your children.
9 of them, that's right.
And you guys are concerned a little bit about what this could mean to homeschooling.
Well, yeah, Michael, I am in touch with the homeschool leadership through some other things we're doing, and one of the concerns I'm wondering is, do you see the whole bathroom bill thing that's going on right now? Can that trickle over to the homeschool community and possibly do us some damage?
Well, it won't be the first place that this particular battle will take place. There are other aspects of the Rainbow Commandos war on Christianity and war on freedom that are more likely to impact the homeschool community first.
Okay.
But you know, it's possible. Where I know that it will impact it is. I was corresponding with a homeschool mom on my Facebook page the other day, and her kids swim competitively, and there are transgendered kids being allowed to swim, and they're using the shower rooms and the bathrooms and so on in that context. So a lot of homeschool kids play sports. A lot of homeschool kids are in other kind of community activities, and so if you're in community activities, which a vast majority of homeschoolers are, then the impact on the community is the impact on us as well. But homeschool families per se, or homeschool support groups per se, because there are very few of those that have permanent facilities of their own.
Right.
That's not going to be the first problem. Although, you know, whether or not the same-sex married couple can force its way into a Christian homeschool group and sue for public accommodations.
Wow.
Those kinds of things are much more likely.
Right.
And so, you know, the warfare that we're experiencing with the people I call the Rainbow Commandos is going to take a lot of different particular tactics and venues, and homeschoolers will be affected by this war, even if this tactic isn't going to be the first place.
Wow. We're going to be talking about judicial issues, but I thought just before we get to that, we might just encourage those listeners out there that have been homeschool parents, or maybe even who were homeschooled by their parents.
That's right.
We'd love to hear from them during our Truth Team 360. And as you know, Marlon Maddox spent a fair amount of time talking about this with people like Michael Farris. So if you are a homeschooler, this is certainly the day I'd like to hear from some of you.
Yes.
As you call 1-800-347-5151.
And identify yourself as a homeschool and family, and let us know. We'll mention that on the air. Again, it's 800-347-5151. I want
to talk about the judiciary. Michael, one of the articles we've posted is a piece you wrote for the Daily Caller a while back. The political power of the Supreme Court must be minimized. And, of course, we've lost Justice Antonin Scalia. The latest Outlook magazine we have is a tribute to him. But whether you can even find someone like Antonin Scalia again, and I doubt that you can, the real issue is we have to actually find a way to minimize the scope of the Supreme Court, because Alexander Hamilton in the Federalist Papers said this was not supposed to be a political institution.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. What a judge is supposed to do is to decide a case that's in front of him. And so there's a dispute between two parties, and you've got the facts, and you've got the law, and you're supposed to apply the facts to the law and reach a decision about what is the correct and appropriate outcome given the facts and the law. What is not supposed to happen for a judge is to decide, you know, what do I think the law should be? And the whole idea of a judicial activism is deciding what they think the law should be. And so when people are trying to order their lives in a country that says it honors the rule of law, if they have no ability to predict what the outcome of cases are going to be, because we don't know what the law is, we don't. You know, it's not that we don't know what it means. We don't know what it is.
Wow.
If the Supreme Court can change the law at will, which is what it's doing on a regular basis, then we don't have a court at all. We just have the Supremes. They're calling them the Supreme Court is a misnomer. They are ruling legislatively. I teach Roe versus Wade every semester that I teach constitutional law, and I always have the students look at the last page of the decision, because there the court wrote a statute. There's first trimester rules, there's second trimester rules, there are third trimester rules. And there's no way in the world that the Supreme Court can look at the phrase, "No person shall be denied liberty without due process of law," which is the phrase they're supposedly interpreting, and find trimesters of pregnancy, and they can see medical clinics, and they can see doctor rules, and they see all kinds of other, fine legislative kind of distinctions. Legislators can see those kind of things because they only have to refer to what they think is the right thing to do, whereas judges are supposed to be following the law as written. So if we want to stop the political institution of the Supreme Court that's decided that it is going to be our master, we've got to do something to stop it. And putting real checks and balances on the Supreme Court are what I think is necessary.
We need to get into that in just a minute, but I noticed that you have written about, and certainly on this program talked about, the fact that the Supreme Court itself has said that the only realistic check on their power is their internal sense of self-restraint. And when I look at a few of those justices, the word self-restraint doesn't necessarily be the first attribute that comes to mind when I think about some of those individuals, right?
That's exactly right. You can find every judge on the Supreme Court who will someday say something about the original meaning of the Constitution. But if they did that in every case, yeah, that'd be great. But they don't. They pull out that weapon when it suits their fancy. It's a very cynical approach to law, and it's not justice. It's not law. It is personal philosophy being guided by 9 people in robes, lawyers who think that they should rule the country. And the founding fathers put a really high standard for amending the Constitution. 2/3 of both houses of Congress, or 2/3 of states, propose amendments, and 3/4 of the states ratify. And so we don't follow that. 5 judges on the Supreme Court can change the Constitution, and they have done so with Roe versus Wade. They've done so with Lawrence versus Texas, and they've done so with the same-sex marriage case, and many, many others. And so we have got to get the mechanisms back to stop the Supreme Court from being a runaway
and we'll do that in just a
lives.
minute. Yeah, we need to take a break, but we'll come back and talk about some of those mechanisms. But let's just mention that we have a $4,000 match on the table right now. And so this is a time, especially as we go to a long break, where some of you are saying, I don't want to miss anything that Michael Farris says. Well, this is a good time to give us a call then. 1-800-347-5151. Or, of course, you can go to the website, pointofview.net. But we really need to hear from you. 1-800-347-5151.
Come on, you homeschoolers. Let's go.
We've got a match on the table here.
That's
We
right.
don't leave any money on the table. We'll come back and continue our conversation with Michael Farris after this.
Let's go.
The end of the book of Jonah is really strange. God said there were 120,000 people in Nineveh who didn't know their right hand from their left. And yet today in America, many of our major corporations and politicians are fighting a war to permit men to use women's showers and bathrooms. Once you deny God as the measure of all things, you can't even recognize the most basic realities. America is in a battle for its sanity and survival. We need strong voices to tell the truth. We need point of view. Become a partner in this important mission of speaking truth in love. Please, today is the day. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net. Choose your giving level. We've had a great start to this important week, and we need to keep it rolling. Take that step, pointofview.net, or call 800-347-5151. Join the Truth Team today, pointofview.net, or call 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again is Kerby Anderson.
Second day of Truth Team 360. Brad Fisk with me, and on phone with us, Michael Farris with, again, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, Chancellor of Patrick Henry College. We're going to spend just a little bit of time talking about some of those solutions. You know, okay, we recognize we have an out-of-control judiciary. Is it possible that state legislatures could vacate a decision or maybe even have term limits on the federal judiciary? All sorts of very important issues we'll get to in just a minute. But, Brad, tell us how we're doing, because we're encouraging people right now to step to the plate and help us out as we're talking about some of these very important issues. The Supreme Court, one of the most important of all. And again, for your gift of $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 a year, you'll receive the MP3 Bible stick, but also you'll help support this ministry.
That's correct. And we want to say thanks to many who are signing up. We have Georgia, Bogart, Georgia, checking in with a gift. Thank you for that. We have somebody else from Grapeland, Texas. Another from Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for that gift. Here's somebody who increased their gift. They went from $20 a month to $30 a month.
That's great.
To get that Bible stick, and they're from Illinois. So thank you so much for standing with us. We have many more to read. We won't have time to read them all because we want to get back to Michael. But again, the phone number to call and be a part of this match challenge. Look, you give $1,000, it becomes $2,000. You give $100 a month, it becomes $200 a month. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. I'm going to throw a curveball in here, live radio. Michael, put you on the spot. What's one good reason in your mind why people ought to support the Point of View radio program?
Point of View was the first and most important program that announced to the world the need for H.R. 6, which was the key battle that we fought years ago with Marlon Maddox to stop the eradication of homeschooling by Congress.
Yep.
A bill called H.R. 6.
I remember it.
That was the high point, perhaps, but faithfully over the years, this radio program has stood for faithfulness and stood for truth and stood for homeschooling rights. And I would just encourage every homeschooler out there to call and pledge something. Whatever amount it is, call and pledge something. Help them get this match and be a part of the station and program that has been so important to the preservation of homeschool freedom.
Well, thank you so much. Let's talk about some solutions. Obviously, we are talking about the fact that if we're going to limit the Supreme Court, it's not going to limit itself. Congress is not going to do so. So it gets us into the Article 5 Convention of the States. But talk about that, because one of the things you've talked about, Michael, is the fact that maybe we could have the state legislatures with maybe a supermajority that would be able to vacate some decisions of the Supreme Court. That's a very important principle of federalism, isn't it?
It is indeed, and the Convention of States was given a big boost a couple of hours ago. The Oklahoma legislature this morning voted to endorse the Convention of States officially, and now we have 7 states that have called for a convention for the purposes of limiting federal power. We have more votes coming up in New Hampshire on May 11th and so on. But what's possible at the convention is to write amendments that would take care of the problem that we're talking about. One would be to say, for example, if 30 state legislatures could vote to vacate a decision of the Supreme Court, then the same-sex marriage case would be being voted on by legislature after legislature right now, whether or not we think that was a political decision, that was an improper decision, and we're going to remove it from the books. They don't get to write a new decision, the state legislatures wouldn't, but they take the old one off the books. That's what vacating means. And so that's an important power. Another idea would be to have the states appoint the Supreme Court. And that would require us to get rid of lifetime appointments for the court and have some shorter term, perhaps 4 years, perhaps 8 years. But if a 4-year cycle is easy to illustrate. And if we raise the number of judges just slightly to 13, you don't have to, but that math works out a little easier. And then put them on a rotating cycle. Then every 4 out of 16 years, every state would get to appoint a judge to the Supreme Court. It would be good to not have them come back because you want to have judicial independence. You don't want people currying favor, but you put this power in the hands of the state legislatures. It's going to change the Supreme Court forever and in a very good way, because we need to get it out of the Washington, D.C. power cabal. And these are the kinds of things that are possible through a convention of states.
You know, right now we have two ways you can limit it. One is by impeachment. The other is by limiting its appellate jurisdiction. But I know you've also suggested, and again, this article is on our website. It's something you've written in Daily Caller, that even if you could expand the grounds for impeachment to be the refusal to follow the original meaning of the Constitution, I think that the framers really intended that occasionally we might impeach a Supreme Court justice. We just haven't done it, and it's gone out of favor. But if that was something that was changed, that might be another very important check on the judiciary.
It would be, and if you could couple that change with giving that power to the state legislatures, in addition, it's either the states or Congress. The problem is that somehow people, once they cross the 14th Street Bridge and go into Washington, D.C. proper, their backbones seem to turn from cartilage and nerves into jelly.
Got that right.
And so the chances of Congress impeaching the Supreme Court under the current political environment is essentially zero, because they have no courage. And they're all part of a big team. It's called Washington, D.C. Watches Out for Washington, D.C. We've got to move the locus of power back to the states. Not that the states are perfect, but they're closer to the people, and the states will be deciding how much power somebody else should have. And that's the way the founders intended it. They never thought that any branch of government should be the final authority for how much power that one branch possessed. And the Supreme Court is the judge of how much power the Supreme Court has, and the federal government has become the judge of how much power the federal government has. And both of those things are extremely dangerous propositions.
So again, we are encouraging you, if you believe in some of the things we're talking about today, to give us a call, 1-800-347-5151. Of course, you can go to pointofview.net. First of all, you can find that article written by Michael Farris. And second of all, that's a way in which you can click on that button that says Join the Truth Team and support these kinds of programs every single day.
This whole discussion reminds me of, I would never hear this anywhere else. I'm hearing new information right now, today, right here from Michael Farris that I didn't know. I didn't realize that we could have that option to take a court that's out of control and bring some sanity back to the judicial process. And ladies and gentlemen, we do this every day. We are bringing things to you at Point of View you're never going to hear anywhere else. And so if you hear some urgency, some stridency, listen, we really need your help. We only do this a couple times a year, and we really depend on you. I mean it. I'm not making this up. So you can help us right now by being and standing with us as a financial partner. 800-347-5151. Again, $1 a day. That's such a great way to join the Truth Team and get that free Bible stick, which is an awesome thing. 800-347-5151.
Michael, just before we go, let's just mention that, again, the Convention of the States could not only limit the judiciary, but it also could give us everything from term limits to a balanced budget amendment. True?
All that is true, plus limitations on taxes, limitations on the General Welfare Clause, limitations on the Commerce Clause. If we did 3 or 4 of the things that we're talking about, it would revitalize freedom in this country in a way that we have not seen in 100 years. And so this is a constitutional moment for our country. Wow. And if people want to get involved, we would encourage them to help us with the Convention of States and to continue to help you there at Point of View, because we're partners in trying to get out the truth to America and take action that really changes this nation once and for all.
I do have some of the links on the website, but just for people that want to go to Convention of States or Homeschool Legal Defense Association or anything else, rattle those off real quickly for us.
Homeschool Legal Defense is hslda.org, and Convention of States is just conventionofstates.com.
Well, again, Michael Farris, we just appreciate so much your perspective. And again, we posted your most recent article there in the Daily Caller on this issue. So I would encourage people to read it, to maybe photocopy it, hand it out in your Sunday school class, maybe hit that share button, put it on your Facebook page, get some conversation going. And thank you so very much for joining us today here on Point of View.
Brad and Kerby, it's always good to be with you.
Let's just, before we take that break, Brad, remind people that this is an opportunity for them to support these kinds of conversations. Like you said, you don't hear this anywhere else.
That's right.
I would really wonder where you would hear some of the conversation about how to limit the judiciary. You're not going to hear that from most of the major media, because
Never.
They're kind of thrilled about the fact that the judiciary is running our lives, but we're not. And so here's an opportunity to hear an alternative and some very concrete steps that we can take.
And you can be a part part of that, taking those steps. Again, we're reaching out to homeschoolers, especially this hour,
Yes.
in honor of Michael being with us on the air. Here's the phone number, 800-347-5151. We have a $4,000 match on the table. All I know is it's not done yet. I'll go check on the next break here to see where we're at and let you know. But in the meantime, don't delay. Get to the phones during this break. 1-800-347-5151.
Do need to hear from you right now. $4,000 on the table, but it can't come off the table till you give. And we do have some people on the line, but if you by chance get a busy signal, just call right back. But don't forget, you can simply go to the website, pointofview.net. Click on that button that says Join the Truth Team. We need to hear from some of you, and we'll be back right after this.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Rebecca Hagelin.
Point of View provides a combination of what is truly happening in public policy in the culture around the country and provides a worldview from which to judge what the believer should do about the culture and public policy. It's a critical source of information, inspiration, and also what possible action steps might be.
Point of View, Truth Team 360,
Rebecca Hagelin, and she certainly says that she benefited so much by listening to Point of View when she was raising her children, then ended up being the vice president of the Heritage Foundation.
Amazing,
her story,
yeah.
a little bit like Michelle Bachmann, who used to listen to it as a teenager. And again, we just see so many of these great opportunities here to educate the future generation. So that's certainly what we did. And she'll be on with us tomorrow. But how are we doing? We have a $4,000 match on the table, right. Brad Fisk. What are we?
Roughly about half of it yet to go.
Okay.
So we have around $2,000 remaining. Now, for many of you, you're going to be leaving us, and please don't delay. Make your gift, because it's like leaving $2,000 on the table, walking out the room. If you don't take it with you, you don't get it. And so that we don't want that to happen. All right. So give us a call at 800-347-5151.
Let's hear from a few callers that wanted to express their appreciation for Point of View.
I just wanted to tell you, too, how much I have appreciated Point of View over the years, and it has caused me over time to call my representatives and take action that I would never have had the knowledge to do before. I've always been taught that we take care of our own, and I feel like Point of View is one of our own because of the Christian worldview that you do promote. And so I have become a partner today, and I just want to thank you so much, and just God bless you for all that you do.
I have listened to Point of View for a number of years, and since I've been retired, I listen daily. And I decided that you guys were worthy of my giving, and I chose to donate the money monthly so that it would be a part of my monthly giving. Point of View is a very unique ministry and gives us a Christian perspective. I really admire and respect you. You show so much love and affection and interest and care for your callers, and that impressed me too.
I've listened to Point of View for years. Boy, I can't afford not to support you. Point of View gives me a voice, and I just appreciate you. And I've been here listening for years, right from the beginning. So I thank you, and I do. Again, I said I can't afford not to support you because I want you to keep going.
Kerby, you're one of the only ones out there that I can really trust, because I really feel like you and your staff do a good job researching and getting the facts that you lay out there before us, because I know that you answer to a higher power, God, and he holds you accountable to what you do. And so I appreciate the fact that we can hold you accountable, and you basically prove yourself every time.
Well, again, it's just a few of the comments, Brad Fisk, from some of our listeners.
Yes.
And again, we'd love to hear from you. And again, if you want to leave a comment as you are calling in today and talking to those beautiful women out there answering the phones, they would certainly love to pass that on. And especially if you're a homeschool parent or you have been homeschooled, we're kind of focusing just a little bit on homeschoolers since we had Michael Farris on the last couple of segments.
And we invite you to join us. Join the Truth Team. Let me explain for a moment where we're coming from on the Truth Team. We have a gift, a welcome gift. Again, I'm going to say this. I think it's the coolest thing we've ever given away. It is the entire New Testament that's packed on about a 5-inch long stick. It's a Bible stick. Fits in the palm of your hand. It's an MP3 player. This is not a thumb drive. It's not something you download. It's preloaded with the English Standard Version Bible, and it's dramatized. Sound effects, music, dozens of voices, and it's in the ESV version, and it's word for word. You get this as a free welcome gift for a gift of $360 for the year. That's the $1 a day, $30 a month. Be paid any way you want to do that. But this is a free welcome gift for you. And man, I want to put one of these in the hands of every listener right now who calls in with that gift of $360 a year or more.
We also would love to have you hear from some of the other people that have been guests on the program. And of course, we just talked with Michael Farris, but I thought for just a minute you might like to hear from Brent Bozell with Media Research Center.
I would say this. People need to understand that the left is funded overwhelmingly through two sources. One, through mega billionaires who are pouring in hundreds of millions of dollars annually to promote their agenda. And secondly, unfortunately, by the American taxpayer that is being forced to pay taxes to fund things like NPR to promote left-wing propaganda. Conservatives don't go in that direction. A, we don't have these multi-billionaires, and B, we will not take government money as we ought not to take government money. So that leaves us needing the generosity of smaller donors to help us out. And I've always maintained that we can make $1 go faster, go better than $10 on the other side. I just can't urge people more strongly to stay behind the vision of Marlon Maddox and stay behind Point of View. and continue promoting this program. Again, I simply ask you this. What would the world look like if we didn't have shows like Point of View? It's absolutely essential that people support it.
Brad, again, that's just a good question to ask a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
What would happen? Hey, we have many standing with us. 3 onliners coming in from Wisconsin, Georgia, Savannah, and they're joining the Truth Team. Thank you for that. Have a friend here who says this: listens faithfully, will not miss the program.
Wow.
Love it. Thank you for that. Here's somebody from Texas checking in. Awesome radio. Best news ever. Better than TV. Amen. Boy, that's the truth. I'll say that for sure. And then here's a fun one. Somebody who obviously knows you've crossed your path. They're going to give up coffee for the next 2 months. And if they can successfully give up one coffee a day, not the whole thing, but one coffee a day, they are going to call back and up their pledge and join the Truth Team, because they're looking for that $1 a day in their budget.
I think he's from New Hampshire, and you kind of need it up there in the cold weather sometimes.
That's right.
That's a sacrifice.
That's kind of fun. And so thank you. And other people say, keep up the good work. Do not lose the faith. So thank you for your comments. Again, it's everybody doing their part. Truth Team. It's together, everyone making a difference. It's making a difference in the life of our culture and making a difference and impact that will have eternal results. And so again, you join the Truth Team by clicking on pointofview.net online, or give us a call, 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. There's operators here that'll catch your call. Hey, the phones are wide open right now. So there's plenty of room for you to get in. Again, 800-347-5151. Could we hear from 6 of you in the next 3 minutes? Could you pick up the phone and call 800-347-5151? 6 callers right now, please.
And you certainly want to do that, because in the next hour we're going to have Tim Wildmon with us, and that has become a phenomenon. The article we've posted here from USA Today, as the count was early yesterday, it was 517,000 people that have already signed the petition saying they're going to boycott Target.
They're well over 600 now. I checked.
And that's the thing. We're going to get his final count just a little bit, talk about what we can and should do. And, of course, this was something we talked about as an idea on Friday. It became a reality very quickly, and now it is certainly front page news. So we're going to spend some time talking with him. So that's why we need to hear from you now, for 2 reasons. Number one, you don't want to miss, as you hear Tim Wildmon talk about some of the things that are happening. You don't want to miss this great opportunity. $4,000 match on the table. We're about halfway down, so we need to hear from a few more of you. And most importantly, we want to send you that Bible stick. And if there's anybody that's a promoter of that Bible stick, it's Brad Fisk.
Well, I love it. It's a great product.
I think as soon as you get one, you're going to be a promoter saying,
that's right. Hey, it makes a great gift too for graduation.
These kids that have earbuds in their head, might as well be listening to God's word than something else, right?
Absolutely. That's a great
I'm all
idea.
for it. So again, the Bible stick, but for those of a larger amount, you could either have the Bible stick or the tumbler and journal set, or of course at $100 a month, you can have all of it. So these are our welcome gifts, but we need to hear from you right now. 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Of course, the website, pointofview.net. And either way is a way in which you can be part of the Truth Team 360.
Let's do it right now. 1-800-347-5151.
We'll be right back.
This is an incredibly important week for Point of View. We need to build our war chest to get us through the election season. This week, we need you to step up and join the team. Just as a political campaign cannot get its message out without donor support, Point of View must have friends like you as we head into the final leg of this presidential race. Imagine Hillary Clinton in the White House. Think of what justices she would nominate to the Supreme Court. The next president is likely going to shape our highest court for several decades, and Point of View wants to provide a biblical perspective of all of the issues in this year's campaign. But we cannot do it, we simply can't, without you. Please step up now as a monthly partner. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net and choose your level. Stretch a bit. Or call 1-800-347-5151. Pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
I just thank God for y'all. I listen to you every day, truly. I wanted to thank y'all for everything you do each day to inform Christian families and our community about the things we can do, and just the way you're so informative. I listen to you daily and love you guys and appreciate you so much.
God bless you, Kerby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
As a Christian, over the years that I've followed this program, I am constantly challenged to be on guard and to evaluate what's going on. And if for no other reason, to protect the caliber and the truth of your programming, I need to participate and to back your program financially to ensure that the truth stays out there for people to hear, to view, and to be a part of.
This is Point of View Radio.
Hi, this is Kerby Anderson. You know, each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging: apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, trends in society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View continues right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Second day of the Truth Team 360 week, and we certainly do encourage you to join with us financially. And of course, in just a few minutes, we're going to be talking with Tim Wildmon of the American Family Association. This issue of the bathroom bills, Target, and all sorts of other topics are going to be front and center. In studio with me as this week has unfolded, Brad Fisk. And we are encouraging people, Brad, to give $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 a year. And this is a way they can support this ministry. And there's so many benefits to actually becoming a Truth Team member, aren't there?
That's right. It's Truth Team Week 360, and we do this a couple times a year to help raise our budget. We are a listener-supported ministry, and we are building the foundation of our team with regular folks. You know, folks who have $1 a day, they can do this, and they give us a call at 800-347-5151. We have a welcome gift for you. It's a special product. It's called the Bible Stick. From Faith Comes by Hearing. It's about an inch wide, about 4.5 inches long, and it's got the entire New Testament, English Standard Version, preloaded onto the stick, all the way from Matthew to Revelation. And listen to this, guys. It's dramatized, music, sound effects, multiple voices, very, very easy to listen to. Now, you may say, this is not for me. I'm not into electronic devices or whatever. How about a graduation gift?
Yes.
How about a precious thing, giving the Word of God to that graduate or that person getting married, maybe that couple. Yeah. And this is an incredible gift of the Word of God that we're giving away as a free welcome gift from to you when you call with that $1 a day or more gift. And not only that, we're going to double your gift right now, up to $4,000. I checked during the break, and we have about $2,000, a little less than that, remaining in that match. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if there's a couple of grand sitting on the table, and somebody says to me, Brad, if you pick that up, put it in your pocket and walk out, it's yours. But if you leave it here and walk out, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave it. I don't know about you. I'm going to pick it up, put it in the pocket, all right? So we simply ask you to consider your very best gift. You might be able to do more.
That's right.
And we have some special gifts for that.
We might just mention that because, again, if you would like to maybe support a minute a month, that's $65 a month. And that is something where then you can either choose the Bible Stick or this exclusive Point of View 16-ounce tumbler and journal set. And you can find out more about what it looks like. It's very well done. And it is on our website, pointofview.net. At the $100 a month level, and some people, Brad, have joined at that level.
They have.
They can get both of those. So again, you can see how that works out if you want to go to the website, or of course, as you call those individuals right now, waiting by the phones, all you need to do is to give them a call at 800-347-5151. They can explain some of that. And we are encouraging all of you to give something.
We are.
We really are looking for those monthly gifts, but I know sometimes people say, well, I can only give a one-time gift, but I hope you really will think about the fact that we're not asking you to have all the money in your hands right now.
It's just a pledge of support for the future. That's right.
And I know that's sometimes a mental hurdle that you need to get over, but you're certainly helping us equip individuals who are already today have expressed how they appreciate the fact that we give them information so they can contact their member of Congress. We're giving them the pray, organize, and vote material so that they can make a very intelligent decision about various elections. We recognize today, of course, there's some elections in the Northeast. Next week, it's in Indiana, which is going to be a big election. We're going to be talking about all of those all through this election season. But whether we're in election season or not, we're talking about issues that are important and trying to present a biblical point of view. And that's what we do here every single day on Point of View.
And remember, just a while ago, we had a friend of the ministry step up and give us a $4,000 gift. It's not ours. It's outside of our total. As you give, we move that into our total. And so the only way to take care of this is to get it fully matched. And that happens when you give us a call at 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. What a great time to call and stand with us. Please give us a call right now or go online at Point of View.
Legacy of Point of View. Marlon Maddox started it in 1972, and I actually used to be on the program with him and eventually even became the guest host in 1986. But I thought we'd go to Ronnie for just a minute. He was listening to Point of View for more than 30 years.
Wow.
I've been listening to Point of View for, I don't know, 30-something years, I guess, and I've met Marlon Maddox in the 80s. I don't remember, early 80s, I believe. So I've been listening to it ever since, and had my little shop here. I started when I opened it up. I had my radio set on KBJS here, and I started giving $20 a month. Sometime, I don't remember, right after that 20 years ago, and I've been thinking every day. I keep thinking I need to go in there and tell them I'm going to give more. And I don't make a lot of money or anything, but I believe in that we're supposed to give a lot more than what we do, and we don't really have to worry about ourselves that much because God says He's going to, He'll take care of all of our needs according to His riches and glory, and I can't compare with His riches.
So again, just a couple of things. Here's somebody who's been around for a long time. When you say Marlon Maddox, some listeners say, I don't know if I've ever heard that name because he's been gone for 12 years, but others have been around and recognize that. And this is a legacy. I mean, when you realize how many decades now Point of View has been doing this, long before there was a Rush Limbaugh or a Sean Hannity, there was a Marlon Maddox doing broadcasts and doing satellite radio broadcasts and live radio. And even here, as we're talking in just a few minutes, going to be talking with Tim Wildmon, this doesn't come to you 2 days later. It comes to you just the moment we do the broadcast. And he will give us some information maybe in just a few minutes that we'll hear for the very first time on Point of View because he is actually speaking to us, and you'll be aware of that. And so this is why, again, I, without hesitation, encourage you to support this ministry. We're not looking for equal gifts, but we're looking for equal participation, aren't we?
Yeah, full participation, really. And if everybody who listens gave, we wouldn't be doing this. We'd be done.
Yeah, that'd be it.
We'd be done because we'd have all the money we need to do whatever we want to do. But that's not the reality. The reality is we need you to step up and support if you could. If 6 people call right now with a gift of $360 or more, this match will be cared for. We'll have the entire match taken care of. Let's not wait till the last minute. Let's go ahead and get that done right now. 6 of you at that $360 or more level. 800-347-5151. That's toll free. 800-347-5151.
Aren't you looking forward to hearing from Tim Wildmon in just a minute? I mean, here you got to wonder, what has been the response with AFR and AFA calling for a boycott? I'd love to hear what kind of experience they've had there, how many people have signed up. So we're going to have a chance to hear that in just a minute. So that's why you need to actually get involved right now, because I know you don't want to miss Tim Wildmon. He's going to join us in a minute. Head of the American Family Association, of course, the host of the American Family radio program, Today's Issues. And matter of fact, we're going to play a little bit that he had this morning on that as well, if we can. But that's why we need to hear from you right now. So we're going to a break. This is a great time to make a phone call. You won't miss anything. It will only take you about 2 minutes on the phone, 3 minutes if you have a lot to say. And it's, again, the pledge line number is very simple, 800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151. Or if you're in front of a computer, just go to pointofview.net. We made it very easy for you to sign up.
6 of you. That's all we're asking right now, just in this break.
Half a dozen.
6, half a dozen coming in. We'll get that match cared for. Again, that number, 800-347-5151.
We'll be back. Tim Wildmon with the American Family Association will be with us, but we need to hear from you right now. 800-347-5151.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
I believe that corporations should stay out of the culture wars. Unfortunately, companies like Apple and PayPal just can't help themselves. In doing so, they leave themselves open to three different forms of hypocrisy and double standards. First, they focus on states in America but turn a blind eye to what is happening overseas. PayPal canceled its plan to build a global operations center in Charlotte, North Carolina. On the other hand, PayPal built a global operations center in Malaysia. The country's penal code punishes homosexual conduct with whippings and up to 20 years in prison. In previous commentaries, I've talked about how Disney and Apple ignore human rights injustices in other countries like China and Singapore while trying to punish states in the United States for standing up for traditional morality. And I should mention that New York Governor Cuomo issued a travel ban for state employees to North Carolina just as he returned from a trip to Cuba. There's a second hypocrisy. Ryan Anderson reminds us that while liberals denounce corporations trying to influence politics, they cheer the actions of Apple, PayPal, and Salesforce, willing to threaten legislators and governors with boycotts even as they pass popular laws that uphold moral and social values. Third, liberals applaud Bruce Springsteen for taking a moral stand. He and other entertainers have the right to follow their conscience, but liberals don't want to extend that same right to people with moral objections about same-sex marriage. Liberal politicians and bureaucrats want to punish bakers, florists, and photographers who try to follow their conscience. These individuals, as well as adoption agencies and marriage counselors, want the same liberty to follow their conscience. You know, corporate bullies would be wise to stay out of politics and the culture wars. They leave themselves open to charges of double standards and a lack of common sense. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
For more information about issues covered on Viewpoints, visit pointofview.net. Pointofview.net. Point of View. Truth Team 360. Bruce Pepin.
What was most significant for me was being able to be interviewed by Kerby on Point of View. And what struck me about this is I work for a very large Christian organization. And while I have had my whole career in Christian ministry, my family has largely been outside the faith, and although I have tried many times to appropriately share about Jesus with them, it wasn't until I was on the air with Kerby and they were aware that I was being interviewed that they tuned into this program. I don't think they had ever listened to Christian radio in the past. So much so that my sister, who was living in New Zealand, was able to pick up the program. And as soon as I was finished, even with the time zone differences, she emailed me right away saying how significant she thought the program was. She felt that the program was so well organized, that the questions that were asked, that Kerby, how he led the whole program, it really connected to her heart. So I just wanted to express how blessed I was to be on the program, but also personally experience the impact and the reach of the message that Point of View has all around the world. And I would encourage you to support it and have the vision for what Point of View can accomplish for God's kingdom today.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Brad Fisk in studio. Brad used to work with Focus on the Family. You know Bruce,
I
and
do.
isn't that a great story?
That's a great story. I did not hear that aspect of his life before, so that was awesome.
That really is.
Yeah.
We do have a $4,000 match on the table,
We do.
and as I look at the number of calls coming in, I think most of the people are on the lines. I guess one woman is waiting for a phone call. We are trying to finish that off, and so let me encourage you, if you have not called, we don't want to leave any of that money on that table.
We don't.
1-800-347-5151. But if you want to listen to this interview, and I know that you probably do because we've been promoting it with Tim Wildmon, you could also just simply go to your computer at pointofview.net and do that while you're listening. And so we're going to talk with Tim Wildmon, and we've posted the article that appeared in USA Today yesterday. Of course, it was in Forbes, and this has really become quite a news item, hasn't it, Brad?
It really has. And so I'm just really anxious to get Tim on here and talk to him about what's going on.
Well, Tim, welcome again to Point of View. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Brad and Kerby, good to be with you today.
I imagine you're getting all sorts of phone calls. We're seeing you showing up in all sorts of secular newspapers and magazines and things like that. What's it been like down there in Tupelo?
Crazy. Absolutely. We are getting media interviews from around the world on this Boycott Target pledge.
Awesome.
That's gone super viral, and it's just been amazing. So we're trying to take all we can do, but I certainly wouldn't miss being on with Kerby and Brad.
Well, I appreciate that, because I was thinking, there are some other interviews you could be doing, but again, I count you as a great friend. I certainly have always encouraged our listeners to support your ministry, and of course you have done the same here. But even today we had a chance to hear, and maybe we'll play a little bit later, the interview that you played from Dr. Keith Blow, because there are some real implications to this. Tim, many people think, well, this is just an issue of bathrooms. It's really no bigger than that. And so why the big deal? Answer that question, if you might.
Well, with Target, they've announced that not only their bathrooms are available, any bathroom for any sex, anytime, but also their fitting rooms or their changing rooms that people access all the time can be used by male or female. It's interchangeable. So they're going to step beyond just the bathrooms Target has. And this is, I think the reason our boycott pledge for Target's gone viral is 740,000 people. Most of that would represent families who aren't going to go to Target anymore unless they, change this, is because people are fed up and they've had it with this, this political correctness overreach, if you will, and this, I call it sexual anarchy, is what's going on here.
Good
and and two things why this has exploded. One is Target's a national brand. Everybody knows who they are. They're easy to avoid. Okay, you can't boycott the world. We realize that, and everybody does. There's certain things you can't have an impact on. We live in a global economy. Everything's so interconnected. But Target is different. They're a retail store. People can avoid them easily. They can go somewhere else. And number two is this is an easy-to-understand issue. Men going to girls' bathrooms is wrong. Okay? I'm going to make a moral judgment right here.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's wrong, and everybody knows it. There's a reason we've had men's and women's restrooms and men's and women's changing rooms in stores since the dawn of civilization.
That's right.
That's because everybody knows that's proper and right, and it's wrong to let men go into women's restrooms and changing rooms. So it's easy to understand. Target is easy to identify, and it's easy to go somewhere else. You can go somewhere else and shop. So I don't know who at Target thought this was a great idea. I imagine it's their human resources department, which all these corporations are basically run by the LGBTQ, multicultural, tolerance, diversity bunch. They're just steeped in that, and they always think this kind of thing is a great idea. But in this case, it has backfired on Target big time. And we got a call this morning from a gentleman who, we're getting these kind of calls, who works for a major corporation that sells home products and rebuilding and remodeling and things like that. And he said, we had a manager's meeting this morning. He said, we were told that by our home office that this company will not be taking any kind of public stand on this. We're staying out of it. So I think the ramifications here, Kerby and Brad, is that finally, and I'm not just crediting us, but it could have been somebody else, but somebody has slapped these people back, and they're not used to it. And so all these other corporations are going, wow, look what's happening to Target. Wow. Maybe we better second think whether we want to dive into this culture war.
You know, Tim, I'm just a regular guy, okay, like all of us, and I get so angry and so fed up with people.
You self-identify, though, Brad, as a guy?
Yeah, I'm a grandfather of 21, 9 children, and when I come to Tupelo next, you're going to fix me up with a restroom, I hope. So that works for me. But
the right ones.
Yeah. But the point is this. We have really crossed the line. I think everybody would agree with me. And just ludicrous. This is just absolute insanity. And even taking the Bible out, which I don't, but even doing that and looking at this from just a straight moral point of view, this is absolute just stupidity. And so what are these people thinking, Tim? I don't know.
Well, that's right. You go anywhere in the world, you know what? You're going to have men's and women's restrooms. Okay.
Yep.
Anywhere in the world. That's what you're going to. Everybody knows this. This is universal. This is not rocket science. Now, the reason they're doing it is because the LGBTQ movement has been running like a juggernaut over everything and everybody. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, they've been very successful. That if you don't go along with everything in their agenda, you're a hater. You're a bigot, you're a homophobe, and so they've been very successful in putting that label on people, and so that's the reason they've been very successful at the corporate level, because you wonder, why in the world do these corporations like PayPal and Target want to weigh in to these highly controversial issues in the culture war in the public arena? It's because I believe, I have no study to back this up, I believe, as I said earlier, that I don't believe it's necessarily coming from the corporate executives. I think most of those people are just money people, business people.
Right.
But your human resources departments are run by these people that have been steeped in this multicultural, tolerance, diversity, LGBTQ movement. And so they think anything to promote that is something good for our company. And now they're learning not necessarily so. In the case of PayPal, by the way, we ran a full-page ad to San Jose Mercury News on Sunday because that's the home headquarters for them, for PayPal. They have an international office that they set up in Malaysia.
Yeah, that's right, where you can be thrown in jail for being homosexual. 20 years sometimes, yeah.
Yes. So here you have this company setting up an international office in Malaysia where gay and lesbians can be whipped, physically whipped, and fined or put in prison. And yet they want to boycott North Carolina because they want men to use men's rooms and women's to use women's rooms in their government.
Let me jump in real quick because we got one of those mandatory breaks, and we'll continue our conversation with Tim Wildmon, but this is a time when I really want to hear from some of you. If you think this is insanity and you appreciate the kind of information you get here, we really need to hear from you. 1-800-347-5151. This would be a great time to make that phone call. 1-800-347-5151. Of course, we also have the website, pointofview.net. We'll continue with Tim Wildmon right after this.
The end of the book of Jonah is really strange. God said there were 120,000 people in Nineveh who didn't know their right hand from their left. And yet today in America, many of our major corporations and politicians are fighting a war to permit men to use women's showers and bathrooms. Once you deny God as the measure of all things, you can't even recognize the most basic realities. America is in a battle for its sanity and survival. We need strong voices to tell the truth. We need point of view. Become a partner in this important mission of speaking truth in love. Please, today is the day. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net. Choose your giving level. We've had a great start to this important week, and we need to keep it rolling. Take that step, pointofview.net, or call 800-347-5151. Join the Truth Team today. Pointofview.net. pointofview.net or call 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again, is Kerby Anderson.
Again, second day of Truth Team 360 week, and this is an opportunity for you to join with us, 1-800-347-5151. We are listener-supported and certainly need to hear from you, and we are privileged to have, first of all, in studio with us Brad Fisk, as well as the president of the American Family Association, Tim Wildmon. Of course, many of you hear him on various programs on an AFR network, which consists of nearly 200 radio stations. Brad?
Hey, Tim, before we get started, could you just jump in for a minute and give our listeners one reason why they ought to join us financially, because it's very important what we're doing right now. We really need to hear from our listeners.
Well, point of view is, maybe Kerby, you can tell us, maybe the longest running Christian talk program in broadcasting history. Am I right, Kerby?
That's right.
And
Since 1972.
Marlon Maddox and Kerby Anderson, they set the pace for and point of view radio program for news and information from a biblical worldview and getting it out to the masses. So we air a point of view on our radio network, and it was a charter program for us a long time ago 1991. So this is a program that is indispensable. It needs your financial support, and you need to write a check, make a phone call to help Point of View and Kerby, because they are also on many other radio stations where American Family Radio is not. And so those radio stations carry Point of View. So Kerby is getting the message out on these kinds of issues where AFR is not able to reach.
That's
right. We need to stand with Point of View. I know you guys don't ask for money very often. But like we had our share-a-thon recently, every once in a while you got to pass the offering plate.
That's right.
And count on people to support you. Otherwise, Christian radio and the programs like Point of View aren't able to survive.
That's correct. And the number to call to take Tim up on that challenge is 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. We're very close on the match challenge. We're getting down to the final dollars. We're not there yet, though. We have a $4,000 match challenge on the table. Your gift right now will be doubled up to that $4,000 mark. And in the next break, I'll go see where we're at. But in the meantime, please, 1-800-347-5151.
Tim, one of the things I want to do is maybe just occasionally take a phone call, just because some people had some, I think, very important questions about this very important boycott. So let's, if we can, go to Arizona and talk to Gordon. Gordon, you're on with Tim Wildmon.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm totally confused. First of all, I'm appalled that young Christian parents have to explain to their children what's going on if this should become law. Secondly, when I went to school and we learned about democracy in the U.S. government, it was a majority rule. When did it become a minority rule country for something like this to take over what seems to be, the majority of the people? You said 750,000 families are no longer going to shop at Target as a result of this.
Yeah,
and they're actually, kowtowing to less than 1% of the population.
Yeah, Tim, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, the power of the LGBTQ movement is well beyond their numbers. In fact, they're maybe 2% of the population, and so. There was a survey done a few months ago I saw where general American public thought that 25% of the public was LGBTQ. So they control the entertainment industry. So all the television shows are pushing this. Not all of them, but a lot of them are pushing this. It's always positive. It's always glowing. Movies, same thing. Politics. So they control those who sympathize with that movement they control these major power influences that have very powerful voices in the United States and the West. So that's how they're able to push this kind of stuff. But a lot of people struggle with, how do I fight back against this? And so this is a moment where people have said, enough's enough. I'm not going to take it anymore, just like you're describing. And so they've chosen to fight back, and this is one way that you can do it with your pocketbook.
Let's, if we can, maybe, since this is not your first rodeo, as we say in West Texas, you've done a few boycotts before. Sometimes what happens is the local stations, the local car dealerships, in this case, the local stores, agree with you. It's the corporate headquarters. And I remember when you had the Ford boycott, there were dealers that were just begging Ford to stop this. And I get the sense right now, as I've talked to a few people that have gone into their local Target store, that the manager of the local Target store is saying, I'm with you 100%. Right. It's the corporate policy here. So that's an important thing to remember, right?
Exactly. And we always encourage people, if we take a stand for biblical ideas, we need to do it in a Christian way. So the person that you're talking to at your local Target, which is the best place to weigh in, especially if you've been a shopper of Target, and you say, I've been shopping here, but I'm no longer coming back, then you need to be polite to them, but firm to them. And what happens is they will pass that on to their corporate headquarters, and they'll pass it on up the chain. So that's how, you're right. And so those people at the lower level, they're not making these decisions, and it's indefensible. I saw a video the other day. A fellow went in and he said to a Target store, and he said he bought a Kit Kat candy bar, and he said, went to the counter and he said, listen, do you get a discount as a Target employee? And she said, yes, sir, 10%. And he said, okay, well, I want to self-identify as a Target employee and get a 10.
There you go.
10%, I'd like a 10% discount. And she said, but let me talk to my manager. So he talked to two other people up the chain there at the local store, and they had no answer for him except that he needed an employee identification number. And he said, no, I'm self-identifying as a Target employee. Just like you can self-identify as a woman when you're a male and go in your women's. So, and the store manager had no answer for him. So, basically did the service as corporate policy. We don't have anything to do with what their decisions are. We just have to follow what they say. So anyway, that kind of thing's going on.
Let me encourage you that as you're listening to this interview with Tim Wildmon, and we're talking about the Target boycott, we do need to hear from you. And what happens oftentimes, we're so engrossed in the great content, we don't make those phone calls. And so let me encourage you to do so. 1-800-347-5151. Of course, if you're by your computer, you can actually just give to this by clicking on the button that says join the team. And we are in the midst of Truth Team 360. So as we talk about these issues and take some of your phone calls, we also need to hear from you.
Hey, from the phone center, somebody, a listener from Illinois donated, and she said, what if I couldn't hear point of view anymore? And that motivated her to give. She thought, I better give while I can still hear it. Here's a widow's mite, $7 single gift from an elderly lady in Stockton, California, and she just wanted to do what she could because she loves point of view. Thank you for that. And then we heard back from our coffee guy. Thank you, Bob. Robert is going to, he upped his pledge to that $1 a day level, and he's giving up his second cup of coffee every morning in order to afford to do that. So thanks for calling back.
Let's take one more phone call here. We'll go to Georgia, WAGP. Larry, you're on with Tim Wildmon.
Thank you very much. Kerby, I just wonder, I know that you started the boycott with Target, PayPal. Are they listing not just companies, but also sports teams that are saying they're no longer going to go to North Carolina because of these things? And we need a list, actually, of places where Christians are saying, I'm not supporting that because that's no better than supporting abortion or anything else.
Sure. Tim, what about the idea of a list? Obviously, we can't completely disconnect from modernity. There are operating systems, there are cell phones and things like that. That's why I think a Target like Target, if you allow the pun, it's a very Target-rich environment. I've had all sorts of fun with their name, but that's a good place to start. But I think some people might, if you want to put together a list, I will, of other organizations and businesses that are trying to be corporate bullies. I'd love to at least educate our listeners about that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll do that ourselves, and maybe we can be a joint effort, Kerby. You can work with us on that. You can find out a lot at afa.net.
Yes, you can, and we've got the link there.
Yeah, with respect to the sports teams, it's the National Basketball Association, the NBA, has threatened North Carolina if they don't reverse their bathroom policy that they may pull the All-Star game from Charlotte. And I said yesterday on the air, I wonder if they surveyed the basketball players in the NBA and said, are you good with your daughter going into the bathrooms with men? I wonder how many players would say, yeah, I'm good with that.
As Kelly Shackelford says, we got the WNBA, and they make a distinction between men and women when they play basketball. We need to take a break, and I think, Tim, you can stay a little bit longer, so let's, if we can, take a break. But at the break, this is a great time to hear from you. The pledge line number, 1-800-347-5151.
Remember that number, 800-347-5151. Looking for 5 of you to join the Truth Team right now, $1 a day or more.
And again, we have that $4,000 match just about finished off with that. But again, you can be the one that puts this over the top. So please give a call right now. We'll continue our conversation with Tim Wildmon, keep him a little bit over right after these important messages. Stay tuned.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Kelly Shackelford.
I remember back the first time I heard Point of View. I was in law school, and I turned on a radio show, and it was at night, and I got to where I wanted to listen to that every night because, it was something that really touched my heart, which is taking biblical truths and applying them to the very issues of today, which is exactly, I think, what Christianity is all about. And Marlon was doing it, and really no one else was. And it's still that way. It not only attracted me because it was doing this special thing, but it was just so encouraging to hear someone not shirk away from speaking the truth. And I think all Christians need that. They need to hear that it's okay to be bold, loving, but bold with what is true and what is right. And that's what Point of View does, is it doesn't say, oh, well, that's the truth, but we better not. We better whisper that, and then we better go hide somewhere. Instead, Point of View says this is the truth, and we've got to stand on the truth.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
A good friend Kelly Shackelford will be with us on Friday in our weekend edition.
That'll be great.
And again, we have Tim Wildmon with us. We kept him over just a little bit,
Yes.
but Brad, just before we let him go, you had some comments.
Hey, Tim, the phones have died a little bit, and I'm just wondering if you could encourage our listeners one more time to understand how critical it is for us to keep tracking and get this $4,000 match finished as well.
Yeah, we have to have Christian talk programs like Point of View, as Kelly Shackelford just said, which is not going to shy away from the issues of our time, the great moral issues of our time. Our kids depend on it, our grandchildren. We can't afford to let America die.
That's right.
Who knows what the future holds? We don't know. We've had two great spiritual awakenings that we may have a third, but regardless, we, as Christians, we have to take a stand. We have to do everything we can in our power, with God's help, to stand for righteousness, to stand for biblical values, and to share the gospel. All these things are critically important. And the way we're trending right now, they're going to, it's not far-fetched to say they're going to shut down churches one day.
Yep.
The governor of Mississippi said that's where we're headed if we keep on with this. Now, they'll label it something like, hate speech or something like that. We can't allow that. But that's where we're headed. We have to have people who listen to Point of View financially support these ministries with whatever you can. I know it's tough for people economically now, some people, but we have to sacrificially give to keep Christian radio programs like Point of View on the air, telling the truth, because we Christians have to stand together in this moment. Amen. In our country's history.
Thank you for that. And a number to call to stand with us is 800-347-5151. It's toll free. 800-347-5151. Please don't get away from the day today without joining our team financially.
Well, again, Tim, we appreciate you. I know it's been crazy there, but I appreciate you giving us a little bit of time today in the midst of all the other interviews, and it just is great to partner with you and look forward to the next opportunity.
Hey, glad to help, Brad. Kerby, have a good day, and I hope people keep supporting Point of View.
This is your opportunity. I know some of you have been sitting back saying, well, I don't want to miss anything of the interview with Tim Wildmon. Well, now is your opportunity to give us a call. We have some operators standing by, and we certainly need to make that match, do we not?
We do indeed. We want to make that match challenge before the end of the hour, so please don't stop calling. I don't want to leave any of that money behind. But let me just reiterate, we have a welcome gift for you. If you join at that $1 a day level, that's $360 for the year. We call it Truth Team 360. That's what this week is all about. And we're celebrating teamwork of you coming alongside of us. We've got, as a free welcome gift for you, in partnership with Faith Comes by Hearing, the Bible Stick. It is a miniature MP3 player. It'll fit in the palm of your hand. This is an incredible, I think it's the best thing we've ever given away as a thank you gift, because it is the Word of God. It's dramatized. It's fully loaded with the entire New Testament, the English Standard Version, which is very easy to listen to, but it's got music, sound effects, multiple voices as it's dramatized. And this is a tiny little unit you put in a shirt pocket, you put in your purse, you can carry it around with you. It comes with headphones, and that is a free gift for you for that gift of support of $1 a day or more. And we ask you to please step up. We have some other gifts for higher donations.
We certainly do.
Well.
Again, if you can give $65 a month, that covers $1, basically a minute a month, I should say.
That's right.
And that's certainly one of those things. And we have the exclusive Point of View 16-ounce tumbler and journal set, and you can see a little bit more about that on the website, pointofview.net. And at the $100 level, you can actually receive both the Bible stick and that tumbler and journal set. So again, we just encourage you to do what you can to support this ministry. And again, as we're going through this, let me just go real quickly to at least one more caller. Bonnie in South Carolina, as we've been talking about this today, what are your concerns?
My concerns are the same as yours. And I am very angry about what is happening. And I so love and appreciate all of you guys and the truth that you stand for. And I truly, truly believe that the Christian community needs to stand up and say, enough is enough.
That's right.
And we need to be on our knees, we need to be fasting, and we need to be asking God to save the souls of those who are unsaved, those who are in leadership, but also that they would he would put a stop to the madness. And Satan is the prince of this world, and so he's the one that's behind all of this. And greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world.
Sure.
And one with God is the majority. And I just believe that we Christians need to lobby from our kitchen tables. We need to make phone calls. We need to pray and encourage our pastors and our church leaders throughout the United States to stand up and say, this is not going to continue.
Right. And again, we're doing this in large part because we believe that it is important for us to get you that information. There are a lot of people that say, well, I don't know what's going on in our culture. Well, listen to Point of View every single day. I don't know what the legislation that I should be lobbying is all about. Well, then listen to Point of View. Right. I don't even know necessarily if my next door neighbor is registered to vote. He may not know if he's registered to vote. We'll go to our Pray, Organize, and Vote material. We're trying to provide you with the information so that you can make a difference. And, of course, we have the National Day of Prayer coming up. I've already done an interview with the honorary chairman, Tony Evans, on that. And, of course, we've been educating you about evangelism, as he did last week with Ted Sprague. So everywhere you've mentioned, we are providing that kind of news, information, commentary, motivation so that you can be more effective.
So please get involved right now. We have 4 lines open, so here's a rare opportunity for you to get right in. 800-347-5151. That's toll free, 800-347-5151. 5151. And if you get a busy signal, if everybody fills the lines up real quick, you can always go over online. Never a busy signal on the internet.
Yes.
Pointofview.net. That's pointofview.net. And simply click on the button there and give that way.
Brad, I know what's happening because I know many of our listeners and have met them before. A lot of them have been so interested in listening to Tim Wildmon to say, I'm not going to call.
Yeah.
And now they can.
They
and
sure
so
can.
as we go off the air, we will still take those phone calls for a while. So again, we want to make the match. Want to make sure we meet that. But also, I know some of you, if nothing else, you wanted to listen to Tim Wildmon, you wanted to hear about this boycott of Target, and you now can take some action. So we're encouraging you, even as we go off the air, to take some action.
And on the match, listen, guys, don't take that lightly. That's huge. When you can double your money by just giving a gift, so your $360 becomes $720. So really, we don't want to make light of that either. 800-347-5151 or pointofview.net, and just click on there and donate as well.
Tomorrow we got Robert Knight and Rebecca Hagelin, and so we'll be talking about these issues again, the culture wars, and some more of these issues related to homosexuality and sexual anarchy, as Tim Wildmon called it. So we want you to be with us every single day here on Truth Team Week. But just before we go, please make sure to write this number down if you haven't already called it, 800-347-5151. And again, the website, pointofview.net. I want to thank Andrew, Catherine, and Shamila. Brad, thank you for your help. We'll be back here tomorrow, but we need to hear from you right now.
This is an incredibly important week for Point of View. We need to build our war chest to get us through the election season. This week, we need you to step up and join the team. Just as a political campaign cannot get its message out without donor support, Point of View must have friends like you as we head into the final leg of this presidential race. Imagine Hillary Clinton in the White House. Think of what justices she would nominate to the Supreme Court. The next president is likely going to shape our highest court for several decades. And Point of View wants to provide a biblical perspective of all of the issues in this year's campaign. But we cannot do it. We simply can't without you. Please step up now as a monthly partner. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net and choose your level. Stretch a bit or call 1-800-347-5151. Pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Point of View is produced by Point of View Ministries.
I just thank